In this video, we're going to walk through a new exercise that I first learned about from Brazilian guitarist Fabio Zanon. Now, he calls it a synchronization exercise, and it is indeed great for synchronizing right and left hands. However, it has additional benefits for both hands. It's kind of, you could say, the Swiss Army knife of classical guitar exercises. It really does provide benefits in so many different areas. So I think it can make an excellent warm-up exercise that you could do toward the end of your warm-up routine. So let's take a look at how it works. Now we're going to begin by assigning each of our 4 left-hand fingers to a fret. 1 goes on the 1st fret, 2 on the 2nd fret, 3 on the 3rd fret, 4 on the 4th fret. Now, to make things easier for ourselves, we're not actually going to play on the 1st fret. We're going to move up to the 7th fret. Simply because the stretch at the 7th fret is much less than it is way down here at the 1st fret, where you can see the difference between the 1st and the 4th fingers is quite a bit greater than it is here. So we're going to start at the 7th fret. So just imagine that the 7th fret is 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Okay? So let's begin by putting our 1st finger on the 1st string. And remember, the 1st finger always goes in the 1st fret, 2nd finger, 2nd fret, etc. So 1st finger on the 1st string, and our 2nd finger is going to skip to the 3rd string. Our 3rd finger plays on the 1st string, and our 4th finger on the 3rd string. So slowly it goes like this. Okay? That's simple. This is where things get more difficult. We're going to walk our fingers from that same pattern all the way down to the 6th string and then back to the 1st. Here's what it looks like slowly, and I'm going to do this without the metronome, and I urge you to start without the metronome so that your fingers can learn the motions of where they're going before you introduce rhythm. We will introduce rhythm. So starting off, 1st finger on the 1st string, 2nd finger on the 3rd string, 1st finger on the 1st string, 4th finger on the 3rd string. Now, 1st finger lifts and plays on the 2nd string. 2nd finger lifts and plays on the 4th string. 3rd finger lifts and plays on the 2nd string. You see the pattern? 4th finger lifts, plays on the 4th string, excuse me. And the same thing all the way down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you'll notice each of my fingers stays down until it's time for them to move. So we only move one finger at a time. The other fingers stay still on their frets. Once you get to the top fret, it should look like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. You walk back down again, starting with 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this takes us back to our 1st position. Now, the other thing you'll notice is my left hand is square to the fingerboard. That is, my hand is parallel to the neck. It's not turned this way. It can turn a little bit this way at times, and that's okay. But what we don't want is to turn this way. If you turn toward the left like this, which is very common for many beginner guitarists, then you're going to end up having a very hard reach for the 4th finger to get on the 3rd string. So you have to have a very good square position. Secondly, you have to be up on your fingertips. If you don't play up on your fingertips and your fingers flatten out, when you come back down, so let's go to the 6th position, 6th string position. Now when I move, you can already hear a buzz because my 4th finger is flat, covering up that 5th string. And now my hand is getting in the way. All kinds of problems ensue if your fingers are flattened out and you're not on your fingertips. We want to hear clear, accurate notes. This is about getting good placement of the fingers so that we have a nice, clear sound for each note. So don't straighten out your fingers and don't turn to the left. Good parallel left-hand position up on our fingertips. Okay, now let's look at some variations that we can bring to this exercise. Because after a while, you might get bored with 1, 2, 3, 4, which is great for the hand, for both hands. However, once you start to mix things up, it adds a lot of variety to what you're working out in both hands. So the first thing to do is, instead of starting on the first finger, we'll reverse, and we'll start with the second finger on the first string. So second finger on the first string, first finger goes to the third string, fourth finger on the first string, third finger on the third string, and so on. We're going to walk, and I'll show you how that looks. Second finger goes first, then first finger. Fourth finger next, then third finger. Excuse me. Second finger. You can hear a little buzz there because my fingers straightened out a little bit. This is why it's so important to have good hand position. So that's the first variation, starting with 2. Okay. The second variation is to put your fingers on strings that are sequential. Instead of skipping to the third string, we'll do 1 on the first string, 2 on the second string, 3 on the first string, 4 on the second string. But then our 1 will skip to the third string. Likewise, the 2 skips to the fourth string, and so on. Here we skip to the fifth string. On the way back down, 1 skips down to the third string, 2 to fourth string. Okay, now, just as we did before, the third variation, we reverse the fingers. Now we start with 2, but now we're still on sequential strings. So 2 goes in the first string, 1 goes on the second string, 4 on the first string, 3 on the second string. And now the 2 is going to skip up to the 3, 1 to the 4, out of the fifth string, sixth string, back down to the third string, I imagine you have it by now. It's really quite that simple. Now, for an added challenge, you can add a fourth variation, which will really challenge the stretch in your left hand. So instead of starting on the 7th fret, move down to the 6th fret. And so on. Back down, and then 5th fret. Maintaining the stretch in your left hand will get more difficult as you go down, and I want you to descend every fret until you get to the 1st fret, which is the most challenging of all. And you can add all of the variations into that same kind of descending pattern down the frets. Okay, so let's take a look at the benefits that this has for both hands. First of all, you're working on left hand accuracy. You have to land on the frets very carefully up on your fingertips with a good parallel left hand position. So we're getting left hand accuracy as well as good left hand positioning. We have to be really close to the frets to be accurate. Otherwise, we'll hear buzzes if we're too far back in the fret. So it encourages us to play right up close to the frets, again, for good accuracy. It encourages stretch in the left hand. While we're moving from here, there are lots of opportunities to work on vertical stretching of the fingers. You're also working on placing your fingers horizontally. 1, 2, 3, 4, especially when we do this pattern on sequential strings. Right? And in the right hand, we can do all kinds of different things as well. We can do MI alternation on sequential strings, or we can do MI alternation skipping strings. Because we might have many opportunities in the repertoire that require us to play MI where we're skipping strings. So it's good to learn that here. We're also working on string crossing at every opportunity. MI, 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 with string skips between. MI, crossing, string skipping, and also accuracy of the right hand. Because when you skip the strings, you have to land accurately on the note that you're skipping, or excuse me, on the string you're skipping, and not brush into the string that's between. And then finally, the whole purpose of the exercise from Fabio Zanon, synchronization of both hands. It's excellent for that, but the best, the way to get the most benefit from synchronizing is to use a metronome. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to set our metronome to either 120 on the quarter note or 60 on the eighth note. Okay, there's our metronome. And first of all, place your fingers down on the first four notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, as we move our fingers down and then back up the strings, we want to lift on an eighth note on one click and then land on the next string on a click. So it would look like this. What this teaches you to do is to place your finger down on the string as soon as your right hand makes the stroke, so that you're synchronizing perfectly with the rhythm, the right and the left hands. So I hope you found this exercise useful. Like I said, it has many benefits for both hands. It gives lots of opportunities for synchronization of both hands, for rhythmic synchronization especially, but also left hand stretch, left hand vertical movement, left and right hand accuracy, string crossing in the right hand, string skipping, alternation. It's an excellent exercise to just get both hands moving and warmed up and to really focus on accurate placement of both fingers. So it's a great thing to warm up with when you first sit down to play. I hope you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next video.